Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jolie Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show where we have a lot in store for you, and John is going to tell us more about it.
Yes, this is really exciting. The way I look at it, at the moment, we on the planet, we're moving back out of a cycle of separation that actually ended on the 21st of December. The last cycle ended on the 21st of December 2012. The next cycle began 22nd of December 2012, in line with the Mayan calendar. Now, there is an 18-year period before and after that date where that cycle goes through a period of completion, which means that on the 21st of December 2030, that handover of the cycle shifts back into unity consciousness. The 18-year thing either side, that came from the wisdom of Gregg Braden. So and there's others besides as well. I'm sure that Drumbelow Melchizedek has said the same thing as well. So, very good reason to believe that to be the case. And I think that, we're seeing the energy of chaos all around us. And that's as it's supposed to be, because that when these energetic influences change, then it can manifest itself in a variety of ways. And it's our job to effectively transmute that into higher frequency energy, which we have the power to do. And that is really what today's show is about. How can we come together into that unity consciousness to help the cause to raise the frequency of the energy? And in fact, I wrote a little something down earlier, which felt a bit to me like I needed to be reading this particular piece. So excuse me while I read this. So it came through to me was we are each an 8 billionth of the collective consciousness that creates the reality on our planet. However, group consciousness is enormously powerful, as when we come together in like-minded high frequency resonance, that value is squared as per the teachings of Gregg Braden and many others. So for every 100 of us that get together in that like-minded meditation state, that's the equivalent of 10,000 people. If we extrapolate that out, the number of people that need to come together in like-minded unison to achieve the power of the entire population of the Earth is 90,560 people. Now, it makes the equivalent of about 8.2 billion people, which is, on my last head count, about right in terms of, give or take a little bit, the population of the Earth right now. So that's the number that is basically going to take us to a world of unspeakable beauty. It's going to take us up the dimensional level. And creating a practice around this is the important thing. So really, what do? We kind of do what we do. We stand on the shoulders of giants like Gregg Braden, like Lynne McTaggart, definitely like the wonderful Pam Gregory as well, Lee Carroll, Rollin McCraty, and Dr. Roger Nelson, all with us today. And we have a guest appearance by God as well. Yes, that's right. We'll get to that bit soon. So, not that God is never not here, right? I mean, God is omnipresent, so it's kind of redundant, but she's definitely here today. So anyway, that is where we're heading with this. And I think this is important. To me, this is the most important show we have ever done. The biggest opportunity to make a change. Because we talk all the time about all these different facets of what's going on around us and teaching points. And it's great because the way I look at it, it's like I immerse myself in this and learn more every week, and I share it. Okay. But for me, this is a learning experience, and you're on this ride with me to learn and to grow and to see what we can do to elevate consciousness on the planet, to get ourselves up to the fifth dimension, and to stay there so that we have peace, unity consciousness, and Christ consciousness, whatever way you want to describe it, whatever works for you. But it's how can we be the best that we can be for the planet as it is now? Not get drawn into the darkness, not get drawn into all the density that's out there to distract us, because we can rise above that. As Pam would tell us, get on your eagle's perch and, divine neutrality or finding your place of joy. That is what elevates the consciousness of the planet. So that is definitely where we are heading. So, Jolie, what do you want to add?
Wow, that is so awesome. I love how you spoke about, especially the people who have encouraged and inspired us. We have so many people that we love that have brought us out of darkness. Louise Hay,
Yes.
Iona Van Zant. We could
Mhm.
talk about Byron Katie and her work. Caroline Mace. All of these people reach out and bring them in, because this is what is bringing us to unspeakable beauty. And the numbers you spoke about, like we always think things are so much bigger than us, right?
Yes.
We've
Yes.
been programmed to believe that our success, our love, everything is too much, it's too big.
Yeah.
We can't reach it. And John, you broke it down to a doable number. And
Yes.
then you put some sauce on that. And what is it? It's 8 billion. It reaches a magnitude, but all
Yeah.
you need is this. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we know that 30,000 is, that's significant to some degree, but it's doable versus 8 billion. So,
Exactly.
it's just really time to wake up and tap others and wake them up. And you don't do it a lot of times through words. You do it through your actions, being able to love through adversity, being able to sit in the solution and reach your hand out and support through what may look like darkness or someone who might not even particularly care for.
Yeah.
That's when you're starting to win, is when the
Yes.
people that you don't even particularly care for, you get neutral and you look and say, well, I would not want to go through that. I don't want to see anybody go through that. Let me help. Let me do something. Okay, you're winning, So
Yes.
I'm just really grateful to be on this journey too, and to watch us both wake up and grow and help others do the same.
Yeah. No, that's it. And it is remarkable how many teachers there are out there right now supporting
Yes.
us on this journey. And
Yes.
I for one could not do this without you, Jolie. So I'm very grateful for your
And
teaching as
and
well.
same thing, John. I couldn't. There's this groundedness and this airiness that creates some good stuff. So that's the balance that we are all working on within ourselves and then pushing that out into our environment.
Yes. Yeah, it's an exciting journey, and I'm looking forward to where we are going to be heading with this. But what should we say? Should we go into part one and
Yes,
begin the journey? Okay,
yes,
so
let's go.
so we're going to start off. This first clip actually is coming from the One Field documentary movie that came out a little while ago, and it is brilliant because this, balanced with the other things that we have, it really just dovetails so nicely together. So again, deep gratitude to the team who put this out there, and we honor their work. That's what we do, and we have in the description below. We have access to the One Field video, the link to that as well as we have also with Pam Gregory's work, which we'll be featuring a little bit later as well. So, okay, here we go then.
There's a saying, the still small voice of the heart. In reality, the voice of the heart is not so still and so small. It's just that the noise of the mind is so loud. The magnetic field produced by the heart is about 100 times stronger than the magnetic field produced by the brain. We can measure the heart's field about a meter, about 3 feet from the body. You can measure a brain wave about an inch away. The heart, through our nervous system, sends far more neural information up to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And these signals that the heart sends to the brain have profound influences on brain function. They go to every major center in the brain.
I'm going to share with you techniques that I've learned from the monks and the nuns and the shamans and the mystics that I've worked with, in addition to HeartMath research. Okay, so now I'm inviting you to close your eyes. I invite you to allow your awareness to move from your mind into your heart and touch your heart center gently. Slow your breathing, a little bit slower than usual. 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the release. Five seconds on the inhale, Pause. 5 seconds, release. You're creating a very, very sacred space in your body. It's the connection between your heart and your brain. When we can create coherence between the heart and the brain, we create signal that can be measured electrically, 0.10 hertz. It's a very low frequency.
When we get coherent, physiological, lots of things we can measure how the heart and brain are becoming more synchronized, but we're also accessing intuition.
And when we are in optimum coherence, we are connected to the magnetic field of the earth.
So we don't necessarily have to go to quantum effects and all of this. We all live within a magnetic field here on Earth. Our heart's magnetic fields are coupled to the Earth's magnetic field, and it's the big carrier wave. We're doing some innovative experiments to ask that question and prove it. So one of the first studies in California, some of the volunteers were in the southern part of the state, some in central, some in north, and they were going about their normal lives for 30 days. What we found is this group of people's heart rhythms was synchronized. A slow wave synchronization. How can this be? The only thing that could explain it was if they were synchronizing to a signal that they were all exposed to. And it turned out to be the resonant frequencies in the Earth's magnetic field. The next question was this happening globally? So we had groups of 20 people in 5 countries: California, Saudi Arabia, Lithuania, New Zealand, and in the UK. We had all the groups around the world do the meditation together at the same time. 15 minutes, the group globally became more synchronized in their local groups to each other, but they also became more synchronized to the Earth's magnetic field in a significant way.
The Earth's magnetic field is currently very depleted, and we're connected to that field. So what are the implications of that for us? So I have a theory, and you can decide for yourself if it resonates with you or if it sounds like deluded nonsense. But here we go. My sense of knowing tells me that there is a reason for the magnetic field depletion, which is that at this time of ascension for the planet and for all life on the planet, our field needs to be more open to receive the light codes that sit within the solar activity, such as the heightened solar flares and plasma that have been hitting the planet during this solar maximum cycle. The Earth's magnetic field, while strong, repels that incoming energy. But now is the time that Gaia needs to absorb these light codes in order to raise her frequency. Therefore, this is no accident that the field is depleted. It is by design. As humanity is intrinsically linked to the resonance of Gaia, our frequencies are also increasing. Higher frequencies align with love, with joy, with peace, with laughter, with gratitude and compassion. Meanwhile, the sons of darkness are desperately trying to keep our frequencies low by inciting fear, anger, hate, judgment, division, and discouragement, particularly through the false narratives that are perpetuated in the media. But we have a choice. And our weapon of choice with which we can completely neutralize this agenda is totally devastating. That weapon is called love, through heart-based unity consciousness. When wielded on an individual level, it is enormously powerful. When wielded within group consciousness, it is devastating. Now, do you remember this small section from Conversations with God?
Throughout history, you have had remarkable teachers, each presenting extraordinary opportunities to remember who you really are. These teachers have shown you the highest and the lowest of the human potential. They have presented vivid, breathtaking examples of what it can mean to be human, of where one can go with the experience, of where the lot of you can and will go given your consciousness. The thing to remember, consciousness is everything and creates your experience. Group consciousness is powerful and produces outcomes of unspeakable beauty or ugliness. The choice is always yours. If you are not satisfied with the consciousness of your group, seek to change it. The best way to change the consciousness of others is by your example. If your example is not enough, form your own group. You be the source of the consciousness you wish others to experience. They will when you do. It begins with you. Everything. All things. You want the world to change? Change things in your own world.
Now, I don't know about you, but I choose a world of unspeakable beauty.
We now come to Qumran, the place where over 960 documents ultimately were found. Some of them 2,200 years old. One of the most powerful documents, the War Scroll. It says that from the time the first humans have walked this earth, there have been beings who are what are called the Watchers. The Watchers are the ones that record with objectivity, the sons of lightness and the sons of darkness. In the end, one last great conflict between darkness and light. And the texts give us a choice. Will we perpetuate this cycle of darkness, suffering, and war? Or will we wake up and choose a new cycle, a cycle of peace and cooperation? They always give us a choice. Will we choose peace?
On one platform, there's what we will call dark consciousness. On one other platform, light consciousness. 2 years, we told you, be ready for the dark. It will not give up without a battle. And now the battle is here. It's all over the news. Everything that they are doing is calculated to scare you to death. Fear is black. If you shine your light and staying out of fear, the whole world will be brighter for it. Nothing can survive your light. Nothing.
What your work does that's so amazing is Western mind needs proof.
When we do the statistics, we gradually gather 500 experiments into one composite database. And when we look at the statistics for that, the departure from what's expected for random number generators is what the physicists call 7 sigma. The chance of that happening is 1 in a trillion. It's basically a way of saying that we're pretty sure there's an effect.
We've talked many times about the War Scroll and how that last great conflict is now playing out. And as Gregg says, the texts give us a choice. Will we perpetuate this cycle of darkness, suffering and war, or will we wake up and choose a new cycle of peace and cooperation? In that regard, if you're watching this, it will be because you are already awakened to a bigger, better reality than our programming and conditioning of limitation have taught us. And as Kryon tells us, now the battle for our consciousness is here. Fear is black, and we know we're being encouraged in that direction by the narratives that are trying to lure our attention so that we can feed them our energy by quantumly entangling with those low-frequency energies. But if instead we choose to shine our light while staying out of fear, the whole world will be brighter for it. As Kryon says, nothing can survive our light. Collectively, we can move the quantum field vastly into the positive, which helps those around us too. The work of Lynne McTaggart, scientifically proven by Dr. Roger Nelson and many others around the world, show this to be true. The challenge is, how do we make lasting change rather than a quick hit that dissipates once the consciousness experiment is completed? The answer is simple. We rally around a single message on a consistent basis, aligning our intentions with each other, and we focus it at specific times and make the whole experience easily repeatable and joyful. This is the way to create a world of unspeakable beauty. And that is where we are heading next. But first, Jolie, what would you care to add?
We talk about light and dark. You know, that seems to be our hero's journey and a lot of the stories that we see and hear about. But it always seems as if it's outside of us, when the battle oftentimes that's reflected externally first began internally. And how? We weren't born going to war with ourselves. We knew everything, believe it or not. But through the conditioning and the programming that's in our society, that the dark seems as if it has more traction or more tools to do what it does. And it needs that because light needs nothing but itself. And that full circles back to us. You need to battle darkness or fear is right within you. And we here at Elevated Planet are going to help you have the tools and the necessary things that you need internally. They're not external. It's an internal battle that then reverberates outside. You talk about a magnetic field. We've heard about that. Magnetic, right? Magnetizing. That means bringing in, right? So the creation of a magnetic field means that everything is interconnected, right? That's kind of what it is. You attract, pull things in, push things away. So on an internal level, that's the work for us as individuals, is to really get rid of some of these things that we've been programmed and conditioned to believe and perceive, and now we're behaving in certain ways. And I'll give you a prime example, especially for those of you in the workforce. A lot of emphasis is put on team, right? Be a team. But at the end of the day, what happens is that we're constantly labeling and judging people for failing to do their job. And I get on one hand, the team is weak if you don't do your part. But sometimes we need to learn to support one another. And in our jobs and sometimes in our lives, we've been programmed to point fingers, to blame, to point out what is not working instead of loving and supporting our fellow man. That is a first step that we can take towards unspeakable beauty and towards rooting out fear, is loving and supporting ourselves first and then manifesting that out into the world. So when you are working with yourself and you're saying, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I made this mistake, and always saying a lot of sorries, take a pause and really get clear about what's going on with you so you can articulate clearly, which is going to bring light to a situation instead of the lack of communication, which leaves us in the dark. So communicate with yourself. Look towards Elevated Planet to help you learn how to perceive things, creatively visualize, and move towards your most loving good, because that's really what it's all about. And if we look externally sometimes, that may trip us up because we then will believe, oh, well, it's not my problem or it's not me. If you recognize it, as my clairvoyant teacher, Dr. Judy Nelson would always say, Reverend Judy Nelson would always say, if you spot it, you got it. So it's yours to work on and change. And then it affects the change out in the world.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's powerful stuff. And absolutely, yeah, it's an inside job, as you often have told us over the years. So fantastic. Thank you, Jolie. So next up, our dear friend Pam Gregory with her initiative that provides the foundation for raising collective consciousness upon which we can support and expand.
Hi, everyone. A few months ago, as many of you know, much earlier this year, I just had a very simple idea of starting a free 15-minute meditation at 7 p.m. UK time on a Sunday evening. And that was a good time to choose, I think, because for most of the world it works well. That's 7 p.m. UK time is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. It's 8 p.m. for most of Europe. It works well for South Africa. It doesn't work so well for New Zealand and Australia, but if for them, because it's very early hours, if they just set a clear intention that they're joining the group energy, or equally if you can't make 7 p.m., then you can just set a clear intention that you are joining the group energy. So there are no Zoom links, no tech, no reminders, no recordings, no nothing. You just join energetically in a way that I'm about to describe to you. And since that time, over the last sort of 9 months or so that this has been running, I have no actual idea because it's not being tracked in any way, which is part of the reason we're just making it so easy and free, is thousands, I believe thousands, possibly tens of thousands of people are joining us, because this is a really wonderful, uplifting thing to do. The purpose of it is to accelerate the arrival of new Earth for humanity. Now, new Earth is already here, as many of us know, is a frequency. It's simply a frequency that we can step into by raising our own frequency. But if we can come together as a group and help to raise our frequency, and therefore we will be raising the frequency of the collective. So more people will be able to access this new Earth frequency, which is something which is very, very beautiful, because this is where we're all headed. And it just takes a small number of us. You know, there's so much evidence, as I've talked about many, many times, there's so much evidence out there of how a small number of us can do this. So I'm not leading it, we are all leading it. That's very important in true Aquarian style. But also I wanted to say, and this is why I'm doing this new video, that there's so many extreme situations in the world right now, the extreme weather, terrible floods, fires, people are losing their homes. We're well aware of the terrible war situations that are so protracted. And I've been feeling very much myself recently, what can we do about those? Because it's very hard to go to those areas. It's very dangerous, very unsafe to try and deliver food aid. And people have been killed in trying to do that, as we know. If we send money, or we're sure that the money we're sending is actually getting through to the people who need it. So I've just been thinking recently, these very simple 15-minute meditations on a Sunday evening, UK time, 7 p.m. UK time, we could actually do more frequently. In fact, what I'm going to suggest is that let us try and assemble to do them at 7 o'clock every evening, UK time. I know we're all busy, we've got very busy lives, so it may not be possible for all of you to join every single night at 7 p.m. for 15 minutes. But if you'd like to do this to really feel that you are making a difference in the world, to bring more peace to the world, as Lynne McTaggart has done demonstrably in her videos, and you can go to the evidence tab on her website and see that, and read her book, The Intention Experiment, in terms of how that was done. You know, we really are doing something, even if you can just make 1 or 2 extra nights in the week. So that's what I'm really proposing here, that we just take out of our busy lives 15 minutes per evening to really focus on raising the frequency of the collective, to help people in desperate and extreme situations. But the main purpose of it is to accelerate the arrival of new Earth as a frequency for more people. And in doing that, that will bring peace, of course. So the idea here is that we imagine that we are a family of frequency. If you follow my work, we're all on a similar frequency. So imagine, as you come together, that we are all holding hands across the earth. We are connecting with our hearts across the earth. I always feel, you know, just drop into your heart. And the second we start, I can feel this incredibly strong, it's palpable, kind of heart vortex between us. Very powerful, kind of swirling energy as we connect. I mean, it's thrilling that we're doing this for free across the world. And if you can't think of anything better, use the mantra, we're welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. We're welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love, because that is exactly what we're doing with this. So set a clear intention that this is for your highest good, the highest good of all and the highest good of the earth. That's really important that you set those at the beginning. And before I kind of describe any more of this or suggest things to you that you might like to do, there seems to be a lot of telepathy across the group, across the world, because afterwards people will occasionally write to me with their experiences, which are just extraordinary and thrilling, actually. Very often people imagine that they are bounced out beyond the earth to see this very strong web of light that is all surrounding the earth, and it's getting stronger and brighter every week. For other people, they see hundreds of very tall, benevolent galactic beings coming in to support us in what we're doing. For other people, they see themselves setting off across mountains and streams, and they see more people, more animals turning into a tsunami of love, leading this charge to make the world a more loving, peaceful place. So it's really beautiful. And it brings me to tears sometimes, the reports that people give. And in doing this through the 15 minutes, just try and feel any emotions of love, joy, peace, compassion, gratitude, those kinds of emotions. And I'd suggest that if you'd like to, you can put people and animals in these extreme situations in the center of the circle, let's say. But it's really important that you don't focus on the negative of what they're experiencing, rather that we bring them peace, love, compassion, and joy, that we focus on where we want to get to, the emotions we want them to feel, rather than any negative emotions. And so you could imagine that there's a soft blue light, a very calming soft blue light comes into this meditation, and that encompasses all of those people in very extreme and distressed circumstances, that everything just calms down. Everything gradually comes back into harmony and balance and peace. Everything is soothed with this soft, pale blue light. That's quite a good idea. And so also I think it's wonderful to see all living beings, humans, animals, all living beings just feeling joyful, feeling happy, feeling respected, feeling cared for. There's abundant food for all, and there's this feeling just of a connection between all living beings. So for me, those are the journeys I go on frequently in my meditation. Those are the journeys I go on because for me, that expands my consciousness very easily. It expands my sense of magical possibility. It expands my sense of connectedness to all living beings, a sense of connectedness to source, divine consciousness, oneness. And I come back in a heightened state. I know my frequency is higher. And maybe as you do these meditations, just check in with your frequency at the beginning of the 15 minutes. Check in with your frequency at the end of those short 15 minutes and see if there's a difference. See if you can really feel that you have raised your consciousness. Now, of course, you can stay much longer than 15 minutes. If you wish to, of course you can. But if you can do these meditations more often, I will be doing them as often as I can. 7 p.m. UK time, our big meditation, our big coming together is still going to stay a Sunday evening. But if you're able to make some other time in the week when you can join me, and even if they're just a few hundred of us across the world, we can really feel that we are reaching out to our brothers and sisters in extreme and desperate situations, because it could be us. There, by the grace of God, it could be us. And this will really help a sense of coming together with all humanity, coming together in compassion. What can we do? We can all do this for free. Every single one of us can do this for free. So really suggesting this to you, offering it to you, and I will be there in the ethers as often as I can to be with you. God bless. Thank you so much for listening. And we really are going to change, and we are changing the quantum wave structure with these very simple meditations. I'm so grateful for being here on this journey with you.
We're back. So we are going to be changing the quantum wave structure on this planet. And I feel that this is a really great way to do it, to get behind Pam's initiative, but also to bring in the wisdom of the likes of Gregg Braden, Lynne McTaggart, and all the rest of it. Because what we have done is created, now going back, winding it back to what Pam is talking about here, the beauty of the whole 15-minute sort of meditation at 7 p.m. UK time, reflected around the world, main one Sunday, but every day, is that in order to change things, we need consistency, because the peace experiments have always been really impressive. But the problem is, of course, is that once the peace experiment is over, the effect of it dissipates over time. So after a while, it's as if it didn't happen. So what have you got to do? You've got to keep repetition with this. So you build a practice around this, which is exactly what Pam is talking about. And the good thing is, of course, what Pam is suggesting is there are no barriers to entry for this, because all you're going to do is sit down and be quiet and go through the points that she talks about, get that frame of mind absolutely right, and then go on your own journey. Now, the bit that we missed out of that particular piece, which again is accessible down in the details below, was Pam describing the journey that she typically goes on to the ancient woodland that she has close to her home, where she goes and she often wanders through there. She sees all these beautiful things, and that's her journey that she takes in her mind when she's going through this meditation. Once she has got that far through it, that she, builds up the intentions at the outset, gets everything right vibrationally, and then she goes on this journey and again radiates that beautiful energy that comes from that experience. Now, what we have done is create one of these guided meditations that Jolene does specifically for the Pam's experience meditation. Okay, so the 7 p.m. one, because what we thought was that this offers people an alternative. Now, the bottom line is that what Pam is suggesting is perfectly fine, and if people are comfortable with that and rather do that, then it's fantastic. Just then you go ahead and you do exactly as she has put it, because there is no need for anything else. However, I know that for me, for a start, because there are a few things to think about there along the way, to have a guided meditation that takes us through the first part of that journey, that goes through all the elements that she talked about, so we get ourselves into vibrationally into the right state, and then after 5 minutes of building up that emotion, and the emotion is where the energy comes from, and from the heart-based consciousness and getting yourself into your heart, having instruction that helps you to get there in the most loving way possible, and then you have 10 minutes of the 15 minutes then to go on your own personal journey. So just as Pam goes off to her ancient woodland, yours will be what it's going to be, whether it's you're climbing a mountain, or you're on the beach by the ocean, or you're with family enjoying life to your absolute fulfillment. I know what mine is. Mine is about the elevated planet journey, because I've had this vision for the longest time, and it's everybody coming together to celebrate life in this beautiful way. And every time I do that, I just sort of like sit there with this big stupid grin on my face. And so that's my happy place. But everybody has the opportunity to go on their own journey, because that's how you elevate your consciousness and your emotion to your own personal pinnacle. But you're sharing that. You're sharing that with the community that's out there. And as Pam says, at the outset, for her Sunday one, they were getting, she doesn't know what the number is, but it could be tens of thousands. Now, we already know, right, that once that number squares, it only takes 90,560 people to actually be the equivalent value of the entire population of the Earth. So it is actually quite doable, because when you think about the reach of Pam, the reach of Gregg, the reach of, Lee Carroll, Lynne McTaggart, and everybody that we have on the roster, basically, you know, you think about the using the energy of all these brilliant teachers who are out here to guide us on the journey, and think, actually, that's a very doable number. And we can come together on a regular basis, and nobody's going to be able to make it 7 p.m. every night. But if you do 3 days a week, or three 7 p.m.s a week, then that's a great way of doing it. And maybe, ultimately you'll look to do something which might be more America friendly and more Asia friendly as well. But, working around the mandate or the suggestions that's been provided by Pam in the first place, I think is wonderful. Capturing the essence of Pam's magnetizing the New Earth initiative really is what this is all about. But using the wisdom of Gregg Braden and the HeartMath Institute, Lynne McTaggart, Kryon, and the others, it just creates an opportunity to build on that. And as she says, just really elevate the quantum wave structure that surrounds this planet into the fifth dimension and beyond. And how exciting is that? So, Jolie, I have said enough. Can I bring you in, please?
Absolutely, John. You said a lot, but it was all so action-packed, especially the description of what we're doing with the meditation and why we're here. And I think that's so beautiful. And during our talk, or our section, when I spoke about tools, I want to be very clear that during this meditation, one of the things I'd like for people to add on is to see all of those that are in your circle, maybe those that you don't even particularly care for, bathing in this light. And when I spoke about corporate America, and that a tool is to detach, right, from the things that you do not like or you don't want around you, instead of judging and labeling them. But when you do your meditation, surrounding these people and these energies in white light and gold light, in love, really is transformative, not only for them, but also for us, right? And when we speak about balance, sometimes I look at myself and you, John, and there's this real abstractness and intangibility and airiness with what I do. And you bring it down and you ground it and you put it into motion, and you put it into that tangibleness. And that's exactly what we are trying to do on the whole. We're taking these concepts, right? These abstract, this quantum energy, and we're trying to move us to another timeline, which will be tangible by what we see, the way we talk, the way we walk, who we are, and the way that our lives are unfolding. So part of that we see with this rawness, signs being held, walking, protesting. That's not hard work, but that's a lot of mobilization, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if we collectively were to just use our minds at that 7 p.m. on a Sunday, or even every day at 7 p.m. for 5 minutes to 15 minutes a day, imagine the shift that could take place.
Yes.
So that's just something that is the way to change the quantum wave structure, which then alters the timeline. So instead of us constantly being under this Mandela effect weirdness, why don't we do some work in that zone to create what do you want to call it? Continuity, consistency, right? And so we don't think that we're slipping and we're crazy, because that's what the darkness is trying to do to us, right? Is make it hard. So let's make it easy for ourselves by taking the time to spread and think good thoughts, see ourselves where we want to be, speak life into other people. The moment that you have, like during this show, I found it very powerful. And while Pam Gregory was speaking, I began to cry. And the one thing that because negative stuff started to come up, and the moment that it does that for me, I immediately start doing a ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. That's it. That's the universal prayer, along with, we are moving into an expanded consciousness of love. Like these mantras and these
Yes.
affirmations in those moments where you are starting to, your past is maybe starting to come to you. That's all that it takes. You see that person you don't particularly like, bathing them in gold light.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the things that help move us into unspeakable beauty.
Yeah. And that's it. That's again, one of the things I've learned from you is about, the Ho'oponopono shifting us to that 0 point neutrality. And that's what we need to be doing, right? So we're
Yeah.
not biased in either direction. We're sitting in the middle. We are sovereign in our energy, and we are there powerfully projecting out into the collective consciousness, this beautiful elevated emotion. We don't get drawn into the density. We are changing things. And it was interesting actually, because I know that you mentioned something to me. You had a friend who said, well, yeah, but that's all well and good, but what can we really do? I really feel sorry for these people. And it's difficult for some people because they think, well, actually just thinking about something like that doesn't change a thing. What can you do in reality? But we know, right? This is what this program's all about. This is what Gregg is talking about. This is what they're all talking about. Lynne McTaggart and Dr. Roger Nelson, all that work that he did at his time running the consciousness group at Princeton University for 20 years. The experiments they ran, 500 unique experiments, he said, and showing the shift in the quantum field as a seventh sigma event. And he described that as saying there's a 1 in a trillion chance that this is not true at all, right?
Right. 1 in a trillion.
1 in a trillion. So it's real. We know it's real. So now we exercise that right and our ability and, get into our elevated consciousness together as group consciousness, as God told us
Exactly.
from the conversations with God, right? Group consciousness is powerful and can create a world of unspeakable beauty or ugliness. So if you're actually stuck in the density, you're creating the world of ugliness. If you, on the other hand, are coming together with this guidance, and this is what I love about it, Jolie, because I did this morning, I told you earlier, right? When I got up this morning, this pre-recorded meditation that we're going to be playing to you shortly, I did this for myself. And I thought, all right, I'm going to see how this feels. And again, I was just in my bliss. I loved it. And I think this is the joy, and it is one of the things you said, it's about consistency. It's actually having everybody working in the same way, exactly
Yeah.
as Pam says, and it's an opportunity to be guided into this. And you could find that after 2 or 3 goes at this, then you might just want to do it just for yourself, which again, absolutely, whatever works for you. It's just providing an alternative that gets you to that place. And we've obviously put a little bit into this, and 5 minutes is Jolie building us into it. Then there's a 10-minute gap where you'll just hear the heart-based solfeggio music in the background, which is 639 hertz, which is the heart. Okay, so that is the heart frequency. So that will help you on your journey. And that's just lightly in the background. And then at the end of the 15 minutes, then Jolie comes and gets us to climb out of our meditative state, and that's where it ends. But yeah, I'm just interested to find out how people gravitate to this or not.
Yes. And remember, when you meditate, you're going to see things come in, you're going to lose maybe a moment, but just bring your awareness back to the meditation, back to where you are, because often, even seasoned meditation people, professionals, there is something that's always pushing you not to meditate or to do something different. So really carve out that time, but remember during the meditation to bring it back to the heart, bring it back to your breath. And that way you can begin to, get back into it.
Yes. Yes, and just having a quick glance at the comments here before we go on into that, getting some great supportive comments. And Denise was talking about Rory Duff and his Sacred Path modules and meditations on harmony days, saying the same, raising collective consciousness and learning to become modern day prophets. Now, I'm a big fan of Rory, as we know. I went
Yes.
to several of his workshops last year, and I believe he's been on the road to recovery, having gone down a very difficult path for him medically there for a while. But yeah, I have absolute respect, and I know that Rory has a lot of respect for Pam, and Pam has a lot of respect for Rory as well. I know they're kind of friends. So yeah, God bless him. And
And you know what's interesting, John? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
no,
but
carry
I
on.
was thinking of Rory Duff when I was talking when I was
Really?
talking about, yes, and because I learned about the toroidal field through him.
Right.
So I was thinking about that as I was going through this, and then Denise, it's like it's real. So that just goes to show the quantum is real, because
Yeah.
I was thinking about that and she was thinking about that. And so, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, one of the things, and I've mentioned it many times, and I'm going to repeat it again because again, this is Rory Duff wisdom, absolutely. You know, when he was talking about the density that's out there in the world, he said this is the equivalent of the story of the king in the castle at the top of the hill looking down on his people who are revolting against him. And he has his advisor there who's saying to him, the trick is not to fight your people. The trick is to get your people to fight each other. And he was given an example of that's exactly what is going on in the world right now. And that is absolutely nailed, right? To me, I've never forgotten that and used it many times and pretended it's my own. But no, that was Rory wisdom. What do you think, Jolie? Should we get into it?
Yes, let's carry on.
Right. Okay. So this last little piece here, this is a little bit from Kryon, which is very moving, again, from the one field. So thank you to the folks who did that. And again, I recommend when you get a chance, check out the one field in the description below. Click on it. It's a couple of hours long and it's 2 hours very, very well spent. And I'm sure you'll agree. So anyway, we will switch screens now. So bear with me a second.
The charts and the graphs can show the field is real. It exists. I want to take you the rest of the way. You look into the eyes of the infant for the first time. What do you say? Mom, what could you say? What could you say? I'm going to be with you. All your lives, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to love you. There is no measure to this. There's no measure. Emerging from you, life. Put on your chest, open its eyes, and there he or she is. Oh. The scientists can't go there with the charts and the graphs and all that they have, but I can, you see. You came for science, you're getting love. And then you find out that love may be a complement of science. That's why I came. Perhaps that's why you came too.
Put your feet flat on the floor and your palms face up on your thighs. Bring your awareness to the center of your head and visualize a beautiful golden portal between the center of your head and the center of your heart. Inhale for a count of 5. Pause and exhale gently for a count of 5. Inhale for a count of 5. Pause and exhale gently for a count of 5. And visualize the center of your head and the center of your heart communicating, creating coherence with one another. And as you breathe, bring your awareness down into your heart. And from this heart-centered space, I want you to visualize your heart opening like the lens of a camera and creating a vortex that is giving and receiving divine love. And from this place of sharing and receiving, visualize like-minded people coming together, joining hands for unspeakable beauty all across the earth, understanding the importance of the interconnectedness. Say to yourself, we are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. Say to your fellow man, we are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. And say to Mother Earth and the universe, we are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. And gently touch your heart center and feel this love pulsating through you and all around you as you set a clear intention for your most loving and highest good. What does that look like? What does your most loving and highest good feel like? And allow for this love to expand out to your fellow man. This wonderful tsunami of love and this web of light encompassing you and mankind. And now, see clearly the most loving and highest good for Mother Earth and the universe. And see Mother Earth encompassed in this web of light and love. Because now we're going to go on a journey to our favorite place, a place where all of the people and the animals and Mother Earth are connected to all of creation. And this place, your favorite place, is filled with love, joy, peace, gratitude, and compassion. So go on this journey of bliss. And when you return, bring all that love and peace and joy back with you. So now it's time to return. So take a deep breath in, pause for a moment, and exhale. As you return to your body and you stay in your heart and check in with your frequency, feel the difference between when you started and now. Thank you so much for joining this meditation.
And we're back.
We're back.
Yeah. Well, it worked for me again. It worked for me. And I saw a note from Joy actually saying, John, can you increase the volume of the music, the background music? And since we haven't yet released the meditation, we will do, obviously this on this recording, it is as it is. But to that point, one thing I can do, Joy, if you like, and I'm guessing that this might well be an opportunity for me to go in there, increase the volume on the bit where Jolay's not talking on our 10-minute journey. I'd be quite happy to just elevate that a little bit because it is heart-based solfeggio frequency 639 hertz, and therefore it will help us on the journey. So it's a good point, well made. Thank you, Joy, for that comment. And yeah, we can definitely do that. And then I'll upload it, and that will be released tomorrow on YouTube as a standalone meditation that you can click onto at 7 o'clock any night that you want to go back through this experience and put your energy out there into the quantum wave structure. I'm going to do it whenever I can. I know that. And yeah, that's for sure. So, Jolie, what do you think?
I'm just grateful, and I hope that people really find some bliss and some higher frequency through the meditation.
I do. I definitely do already. I think, you led us brilliant through that. You all the points there that Gregg Braden had talked about to add to what Pam had talked about, the heart connection. And
Right.
Pam talks about going into the heart, but you kind of created a portal for us there. And then, just having the backing of those words and uh, the elevated consciousness kind of everything about it. To me, that really works, and I hope it works for others as well. But again, all comments are welcome on that because we can happily just create a couple of different versions of it if people, even if people wanted to keep going for longer, and then we could have one which doesn't have the ending on it, and you can bring your own meditation to an end at your own convenience. So
Right.
I think that any comments you want to share on that, then I think that will be gratefully received. Let's just see what we got here. Um, yeah, so Laurie also says, beautiful. Yes, please increase the volume of the music. A perfect compliment to Pam's meditation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Denise loves it too.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Much, much appreciated. So I think we are now going to be drawing to a close, Jolie, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, just to forewarn you, next week is going to be slightly different. I've got a lot of travels on next week, so I think we'll end up still doing a live, but it's going to be different. We're going to have, Jolie and I will be touching base on this, and so we'll keep you informed.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a different kind of show, but at the end of the day, we are going to be still bringing that energy and doing whatever we can for our elevated planet community. As ever, if you like what we do, please do. What do we do, Jolie? What do we ask?
Please like, share, and subscribe. We really could use the expansion.
Yeah, we definitely could. And the sharing thing is even more important now, purely because we need to get people sort of looking at this 7 o'clock kind of meditation idea, whether they use the guided meditation video or whether they just come online to do their own version of it. It's just adding to that quantum wave structure. It's elevating the frequency on the planet. And as Kryon said, nothing can stop our light. We're elevating it all the way. So If there's anybody who wants to join our community on the newsletter distribution list, then drop me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.live, or drop us any comments that you care to, or just reach out to us on elevatedplanet.life/contact page that gets you to the free format comment box that you can send us any ideas. And obviously you can also put it down there as well in the comments. But yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else, Jolie?
No, just everybody, just go with love.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for a plenty of comments today. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being on this journey with us all the way to elevate this planet. I'm excited about it. Times are changing. 22nd of December 2030. That is the first day of the complete new era, where the old era of separateness is left behind and unity consciousness is ours. So
yes,
something to look forward to right there. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jolie. Thank you, everybody. And we will be back in touch soon.